Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94, and we are here for this. Wait, no, wrong one. Whoa, wrong one. Very wrong one. Where the hell is my shit at? Hold on, where's my... Oh, here you go. It's right next to it. Nickelodeon. We done with the Nickelodeon. Just like y'all said, we done with the 80s. We done with the 90s. We done with Nickelodeon. Ain't no way, dog. Ain't no way y'all out here like this, Nickelodeon. Listen here, man. Nickelodeon, y'all going to jail. Nickelodeon, y'all going to jail. Cartoon Network would never. Cartoon Network would never. That's why they stay the cartoons. They never try to get involved with shit like that. Hey, man, the weirdness with Nickelodeon goes all the way back to the 90s. This is even before Dan Snyder. This goes back to the fucking Ren and Stimpy creator, bro. He was a fucking pedophile. He even got I think he got hit on some pedophile charges back in the day. Trying to groom a 15-year-old. He tried to groom two 15-year-olds and make them feel super uncomfortable. And he got called out for it. Because he tried to use the Ren and Stimpy show as a way to get little kids to bend to his every will. So yeah, man. Nickelodeon been on some weird shit. It's just crazy that it took this long in order for for this shit to actually come into fruition. So that way we could put a stop to this shit. It's crazy, bro. The shit that goes on in Hollywood is fucking atrocious, bro. The shit they've been doing to kids, the shit they've been doing to women, the shit they just been doing to people, period, over the years, and just been getting away with it for so long. It just leaves a bad. Oh man, Nickelodeon's reputation is ruined, bro. They can never gain their reputation back, and Nickelodeon was arguably one of the best. I want to say up until 2007, up until like 2007, 2008, Nickelodeon was arguably one of the best kid channels of the big three. Cause Disney Channel was for I feel like Disney Channel was for like the suburban kids that like that whack ass corny ass shows. Cartoon Network, they just stuck to cartoons. They was just pure entertainment overall. Then you had like fucking Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon was for like the kids. Nickelodeon was for everybody really, but I'm just saying though. So yeah, man, we're gonna get into this, man. We got to, man. It's been a lot of stuff I need to cover, man. As you all know, I had a little situation last week. You know what I'm saying? The channel got hacked. I lost access to my account. Couldn't upload nothing until fucking Friday. That's crazy, bro. But anyways, though, yeah, man, without further ado, man, we back on schedule. I got everything back and under control. Yeah, man. Without further ado, let's get right into this, though. Dan Snyder and the downfall of Nickelodeon, man. Crazy.
I think it's safe to say that this has not been a great week for Nickelodeon.
Not at all.
With the release of the Max documentary Quiet on Set, or, you know, you just watched the whole thing on Twitter with Drake and Josh funny moments looping in the bottom. I don't judge. It exposed a lot of people out there to the horrific reality that is child stardom, delving primarily into the career of Dan Schneider, a figure that I've talked about in this channel before, although focusing much more on his creations rather than the man himself for obvious reasons. It's an eye-opening expose to the world that was 90s and 2000s Nickelodeon. I've never really been one of those people who argued you couldn't separate the art from the artist, but it's hard not to admit that while watching it, it made me seriously reconsider how I felt about some of my favorite series growing up. And while this is mainly stuff that we've been hearing for years, especially in relation to Dan Schneider, whose name has been a mere punching bag for almost a decade now, I think this being the first wide-scale publication of something like this, released in a format that people are obsessed with right now, is what's resulted in this resurgence of people finding out about this stuff for the first time and calling for the man to be put in prison. Which, listen dude, if John K didn't get sent to prison then there's no way in hell Dan will. The most you can do is just keep him as far away from children's entertainment as possible. Because they really go into a lot here. His creepy, overprotective nature over his cast, the treatment of them as if they were adults and not in such formative years in their lives. Although I have to wonder why the documentary never brought attention to those weird as hell tags he would have at the end of his episodes, to make it sound like the kids were saying something provocative.
I heard you swallow.
Sometimes I do it to myself.
I don't want to get blackballed. How bad do you want this?
As a kid, I just thought it was funny they were saying random words. And all this got me thinking, beyond the allegations and truly abhorrent events that transpired as a result of their poor management, isn't it just weird in general to think about how irrelevant Nickelodeon has become within the last decade? In the 90s and 2000s, they were unavoidable. It was strange for a kid to not be watching Nickelodeon. I would be so pissed off going to a friend's house and saying they didn't have cable. Where's the SpongeBob? However, nowadays, if a kid said they still regularly watch the channel, my only response would be, what though? What are you watching, Baby SpongeBob? Live-action Lincoln Loud? What are you, stupid? From taking even the quickest of glances towards my channel, it's fairly evident that a lot of the programming Nickelodeon has produced over the years means a lot to me. It's one of the only things out there I find the ability to be nostalgic towards. And so in a way, it's sad to see that the company responsible for creating some of the most influential material for me as a kid only stands today as a mere shell of its former self, nothing more than an awkward subject. And so today I wanted to spend some time talking about it. Not only why I think the company has gone so downhill from a juggernaut of children's entertainment to something I wouldn't want within a 10-foot radius of my kid, but also I want to highlight why it did have such a stranglehold on so many kids at one point. And so with that, let's talk about the downfall of Nickelodeon. Obviously, Nick's decline is a result of many factors. The company has become less and less culturally relevant for much longer than just when all this Schneider business came to light. The main reasoning, obviously, being the fact that kids are much more interested in watching shows on their phones and iPads rather than on televisions. Even Nickelodeon shows with re-uploads gaining millions of views, but of course that doesn't help the main issue, which is the network suffering. Cable just isn't that popular anymore. Most people opting to cancel theirs in favor of signing up for a couple streaming services. And unfortunately, it ain't the one Nickelodeon is on. Paramount Plus is a terrible app, it's got a horrible interface, there's barely anything to watch, and overall it just runs horribly. I've been trying to watch through Danny Phantom on there for the first time in the past couple weeks, and it's really opened my eyes to how awful that service is. It's just always buffering, and it isn't a problem I have with Netflix or Max, so I have to assume there just isn't enough money being put into the servers. And so when watching
That's why you gotta go to Dailymotion. Shout out to Dailymotion.
shows or even just navigating the menus, you're constantly met with lag. It is abysmal. But why should they put more money into it? Their subscriber base is already miles below their competition despite being around for a couple years at this point. No amount of charming crossover commercials is helping the fact that Paramount Plus simply doesn't have that much to offer. And it seems Viacom have become aware of this too. Because when checking out Netflix recently, I've begun noticing that way more Nickelodeon shows have begun appearing back on there. Fairly Odd Parents, Rugrats, Drake and Josh, a lot of popular series, are now all available to watch on a streaming service that isn't owned by Nick's parent company, and I think that's incredibly telling. The only Nickelodeon things worth getting on Paramount Plus seems to be the stuff that isn't popular enough for other services to want to buy the rights to. Or SpongeBob, which they've been putting a massive marketing push into, seemingly being one of the only reasons to get Paramount Plus. Because in reality, what does Nickelodeon have now? Bad reboots of their more successful shows from their heydays? Spin-offs to said successful shows? Or the occasional new cartoon thrown in, that only manages to run for a season or two as all the wind is pulled out of its sails in favor of promoting the CM3 SpongeBob cartoons. SpongeBob, Loud House, Rugrats, Fairly Odd Parents, that's all there is to Nickelodeon now on a cartoon level. Rock, paper, scissors on the surface level seems like a horrible idea, but upon seeing clips of it, it actually manages to be pretty funny. That doesn't even matter because I'm sure half of you out there watching this thinking, what the fuck is rock, paper, scissors?
Facts.
I suppose, first of all, it's important to highlight why I think Nickelodeon was such a triumphant force in children's entertainment in the first place, to directly contrast as to where they are now and how they lost their way. And to me at least, it came down to three main factors. 1. A lack of competition. In regards to cable channels focused on animation, there were the big three: Cartoon Network, Disney Channel, and Nickelodeon, with Nick being in an incredibly lucky position where when it premiered it only had to really compete with Disney Channel. And with them advertising and making their entire personality around being something new, different, and edgy, it gave them the perfect opportunity to gravitate kids' attention. Especially once they started their own original programming. There was something so cool about Nick that almost made their competitors seem more lame in comparison. Why watch Mickey Mouse when you could watch Ren and Stimpy? Reminds me a lot of the Sega versus Nintendo stuff that was happening,
I mean, listen, y'all entitled to y'all own opinion. Y'all already know where I stay. I'm a Cartoon Network kid, first and foremost. But let me just keep it real. I say from the 90s, Nickelodeon had the advantage. Once the 2000s came, and they just became so oriented, and they started canceling shows just to keep SpongeBob alive. Cartoon Network won that battle. Let's just keep it real. Cartoon Network, all of Cartoon Network's original shows didn't really start to disappear on their channel until about 2007. By 2006, a lot of Nickelodeon shows were canceled or ending. Like, come on, man. It was too many shows that was canceling, that was getting canceled, that was ending. Then you had stupid shit on the channel like fucking Fanboy and Chum Chum. Once I started seeing shit like Fanboy and Chum Chum and Mr. Meaty and all this other dumb shit, I was like, yeah, let me stay over here on Cartoon Network because I don't know what they doing over on Nickelodeon.
At the exact same time, wow. For me personally, I was glued to Nickelodeon 95% of the time as a kid. The only Disney cartoon I had any interest in was Phineas and Ferb, and I kept confusing Cartoon Network with Boomerang and assumed they just played lame old people shows. And so Nick kept all my attention. 2. Nickelodeon was fun. They prided themselves on being a network for kids by kids.
See, this dude come from a biased place. He didn't watch all three. I watched all three. It's just that I say it like this. Disney was too corny. Cartoon Network became the SpongeBob Network. Nickelodeon became the SpongeBob Network, and Cartoon Network was pretty much the last of its kind. Everything was changing. It was more live action over on Nickelodeon. It was a lot of my cartoons that I grew up with from the 90s and the 2000s was ending, and I wasn't willing to give the newer cartoons a chance, so I said fuck cartoons in general and just went my own way. And yeah, so I did watch all three. This dude is coming from a place of just being a straight up Nickelodeon kid, so shows the range, my boy. Shows the range.
Of course that wasn't true, but it's the image they successfully gave off to their viewers, showing kids the stuff they wanted to see, mainly focusing on gross art and stuff more relatable to them. Not only through its programming, but just the network as a whole had such a fun vibe to it. The unique bumpers and advertisements, you had Nick.com and magazine, which made Nickelodeon something you could follow along with, make it a part of your everyday. Now, of course, a large focus of this was for money-making purposes, making sure your kid always had another opportunity to support the company, but they made doing that engaging. Sadly, the magazine industry is something that also suffered from the rise of the internet. And along with that, folks have become much more accustomed to getting their entertainment from the same 3 or 4 social media websites. I can't imagine many kids today seeking out the current Nick.com. It's a lot of stuff outside of their control, and that's a shame. But unfortunately, this third factor was mainly a result of poor management. 3. Nickelodeon had good shows. Dated in a lot of cases, but the simple truth is, Nickelodeon used to stay up to date with a consistent string of quality cartoons,
Yes, they
usually
did.
releasing 2 to 3 new series every year. Now, not all of them were hits, but at a certain point they were releasing at such a rate that there was always something to look forward to. And at least every now and then when they did release a piece of shit, you at least had confidence in there being one show that you wanted to watch on there. You know, if my options were to sit through half an hour of mediocrity to get to the stuff I wanted to see, or, I don't know, kick a ball outside, then sign me up for Fanboy and Chum Chum, let's go, I'll power through it. This time, 20 years ago, Nickelodeon was getting ready to release Danny Phantom, one of their most iconic series of all time, with the character still being remembered fondly to this day. So much so that it was recently continued in graphic novel form. What is Nick putting out this year? Well, again, Rock, Paper, Scissors, a show that, again, seems alright. But I think it's safe to say that it is not going to be anywhere near as well remembered as the stuff they used to put out.
And let me tell you something about Nickelodeon, and I won't let them censor this. They...
And a big part of that is on their marketing. If a show doesn't become an immediate hit like SpongeBob or Loud House, then it's not running for more than 2 seasons. Other than those two, every original cartoon currently airing on the channel is only in its first season, with the rest being nothing but toy tie-ins like Transformers Earthspark or Monster High, or spin-offs and crappy reboots like Rugrats or Camp Coral. Stuff designed for the sole purpose of keeping a franchise relevant with something new and exciting, so it doesn't just seem as if they've been putting all their attention into the same 2 shows for the past decade. Which they have. Well, okay, and there's Big Neat. Seems fun, but It's Pony, Middlemost Post, Rise of the Ninja Turtles, all cartoons where, by the time I finally wanted to check them out, they were gone. It's a tired opinion, but really, SpongeBob got too big to fail. It seems like more often than not the higher-ups only put these other shows into production to ensure their investors that they're more than just the SpongeBob channel. Oh, but that's to ignore all their fantastic live-action programming currently airing, like The Really Loud House, Tyler Perry's Young Dylan, Aaron and... Aaron. These solo acts have to band together. Why does every kid's sitcom have to be about music? Also, that's it. I just named you every series that is currently airing, and I only knew of one of them that even existed before 5 seconds ago when I looked this up. Other than that, we're rapidly approaching the horrifying concept that is the era of 2010s nostalgia. I mean, we did just get the amazing comeback to the hit 2013 series, The Thundermans. Kill me. Something I've been talking about a lot with my friends recently is the idea of suffering for art. Like, Dan Schneider is evidently a pretty terrible human being, but let's be real, he made some good shows.
That is
Not just
true.
for kids either. My grandmother would watch iCarly and Drake and Josh with us and keep up with the plot points. There was something about his humor and style of
That is true. Say what you want, but Dan Schneider, he was the MVP of Nickelodeon. Let's just keep it real. Outside, because on the animation side, SpongeBob was ruining everything. But from the live action standpoint, Dan Schneider was keeping shows afloat. I'm not gonna. Obviously, he's a piece of shit. Let's not take that away. Let's not detract from the fact this man is a piece of shit and needs to be locked up for his crimes. But that nigga could make some good ass shows. I ain't gonna even hold you from all of that. Keenan and Kel, Amanda Show. What else? The Garcia brothers, iCarly, Zoe 101, Nancy Classified School Survival Guide. And I'm trying to think of all these shows right now. Little Romeo Show, Just Jordan. Victorious, Big Time Rush, Sam and Cat. Like Dan Schneider was holding down the fort at Nickelodeon, dog. Say what you want, but he was him. He was him when it came to this. When it came to this live action shit on Nickelodeon.
comedy that just appealed to people. At the very least in a way that didn't come off as if it were talking down to its audience. Do these shows, being so iconic and well-remembered, justify that? No, not even gonna entertain that thought. The world could have survived without the Amanda Show if it meant these kids didn't have to be emotionally abused on set.
Facts.
My thought process always comes to the fact that these people talk about Dan's work while ignoring what he was producing before getting fired in the kindest way possible. I wish YouTube would give me a $7 million check when I decide to stop uploading. Henry Danger Game Shakers, animated Henry Danger. I grew up watching Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, iCarly, Victorious, even Sam and Cat for as briefly as it aired. I could tell by the time this shit aired, I was disinterested. He'd lost his touch. I also don't find it to be a coincidence that Nickelodeon only decided to get rid of the man when he stopped bringing them hit shows. But to come back to the topic of Dan choosing not to talk down to his audience, I really think that is the main factor as to why his shows were so popular. But also, what truly marked Nickelodeon's downfall. And it's that they lost sight of their target demographic. Kids. Growing up in this era, it felt like Nick and Disney Channel were always having such a pissing match with each other to see who could produce the more popular sitcom, and more importantly, who could appeal most to the frightening demographic that is tweens. Nick completely rebranding in 2010 to remove all the fun and charm from the presentation in favor of something sleeker and more cool, with the vice president at the time claiming it to highlight a new focus for the network, and it's no secret what that new focus was. Disney had struck gold with Hannah Montana, and with that, Dan eventually tried his hand at his own teen girl who sings sitcom. Literally every single kid's sitcom under the sun at that time tried to make their character a singer, even though it had no basis in the pre-established setup. Wizard, Sunny with a Chance, even iCarly for a little bit. After Hannah Montana, however, it seemed like Disney had lost the marathon. None of their sitcoms reaching anywhere near the success of Dan's apart from arguably Wizards and maybe Sweet Life on Deck, but I'd argue that was a massive downgrade compared to the original. They still had successful shows, don't get me wrong, I remember Austin and Ally sticking around for a while. But it definitely seems like Nickelodeon's attempts stuck more with kids, and ironically, I think that came down to the adult nature of it. Tweens are in that awkward stage where they want to seem older. They don't want to be seen watching SpongeBob, but they also still watch Nickelodeon. And so Dan had creepily perfected the art of pushing the boundaries for what was acceptable for kids, just enough to appeal to them. It made Victorious and Sam and Cat especially seem so much older and more mature compared to your average kid sitcom. Sam and Cat literally had a fucking Breaking Bad parody and they got away with it. Why? Because Dan could do whatever the fuck he wanted. Are they really gonna question him? Nickelodeon worshipped the man. But as a result of that temporary success that couldn't be replicated after the man clearly ran out of steam, what was Nick left with? Their tween audience has been alienated because they don't want to watch a show about 4 annoying kids becoming millionaires through making ProJared's new favorite app. And kids who just want to see cartoons don't want to watch live action stuff, with the majority of Nick's animated material moving over to the much less popular Nicktoons network. They relied so much on Dan Schneider that once they were put in a position to let him go, they had nothing left. Except for SpongeBob. And Linking Loud. And so now, here we are. Nickelodeon has never been more relevant as an entertainment company. Disney Channel at least still creates cartoons that people are interested in watching, that they bother to at the very least promote. And Cartoon Network, well okay, Cartoon Network's a story for another day, but they've done irreparable damage to the reputation and I'm not really sure how they can fix it apart from completely restructuring. But maybe that's coming sooner than we think. Last year, Nickelodeon rebranded to reincorporate the colors and abstract shapes that was once iconic to them. Certainly looks a lot better than this. And who knows if this is due to a genuine attempt at showcasing them shifting focus back to what made them so successful in the first place, or perhaps it's just trying to capitalize on nostalgia. But for their own sake, I certainly hope it's the former. Because I love Nickelodeon. It's something incredibly important to me. I'll never forget going to my great-grandmother's house after school and doing my homework while watching Fairly Odd Parents, getting so excited for summer approaching with them airing the School's Out musical. Or sitting up late at night with my sisters laughing at reruns of The Amanda Show and Drake and Josh. Watching the Kids' Choice Awards every year and being blown away by them integrating and interconnecting their cartoon series with the live action. At one point, Nickelodeon just made me happy. And I hope it can continue making kids happy in the future.
It's
but
not.
I suppose only time will tell. I'm depressed now.
It's not. It's not. It's not because the internet exists and the internet is producing better shows than the goddamn kids channel that's on cable. That's crazy. But anyways though, oh man. Hey man, Nickelodeon. We done with Nickelodeon. We done with the Nickelodeon. Like y'all said, we done with the 90s. Nah, we done with Nickelodeon. Get them the fuck up out of here, man. Cherish the memories. I will always cherish the memories, but y'all gotta go, Chief. like I said, man, this shit started way back with the creator of Ren and Stimpy, man. The creator of Ren and Stimpy was a fucking weirdo. Like I said, he was grooming 15, 17-year-old little girls. The craziness that was going on with Dan Snyder and all those fucking weirdos that were producers, and oh my God, bro, the fact that that shit was going, oh my God, bro. Everybody need help. Drake need help. Drake Bell, not Drake. Well, the Drake do need help. Kendrick Lamar on your ass, but that's another video. That's another video for another time. But anyways, though, man, let me know what y'all think down below, man. How do y'all feel about it, man? Well, did you grow up a Nickelodeon kid? Are you shocked to find out all this shit is this shit was happening behind the scenes? I'm not really shocked. I've been hearing that weirdos have been working at Nickelodeon for so long. Then on top of that, you got weirdos jumping ship from Nickelodeon to Disney. So hey man, Disney gonna be next. Hey man, I agree that Disney gonna be the next one. That they gonna crack into. But like I said in the live stream, man, Disney is heavily protected. Disney is the almighty power. Okay? Disney is more powerful than anybody knows. I don't think people understand how powerful Disney really is. Disney probably has some of the darkest shit going on. The fact that Raven-Symoné ain't the same like she used to be. Fucking Orlando Brown has gone batshit crazy. Little nigga Corey in the house, he out here being a weirdo and touching on kids and shit. Come on, dog. It's become clear, man, that child actors, child celebrities, man, they don't have the best lives growing up. There's always somebody in their pocket. Their parents are ripping them off, always in their pockets, running the checkup with their money that they gotta work for, not the parents. Then you got people trying to touch them and trying to feel on them and stuff like that. Oh man, Man, all I can say is, man, I pray for everybody. I hope everybody heals that was affected by this shit. This is no laughing matter. I hope everybody heals and gets the help they need. God is always there for you. Just always remember that God is always there for you. Even when you feel like he wasn't there for you before, he's going to always be there for you. Trust me. It's always there. But anyways, though, that's just going to about do it for this one, man. I will see you on the next video. I am tired. I'm ready to go to bed. I will see you on the next video. Till then, peace out.